Like so many others, I used to think that releasing music was just uploading to Spotify and posting on Instagram. But I think we can all confidently say that this is no longer enough. There are over 100,000 songs being uploaded to Spotify every single day. Now, recently I saw a leaked release checklist from a major record label, and there were over 150 boxes to tick. And bear in mind, this was for a single. You could multiply that by orders of magnitude for an album. Now, while most of it aligned with what I've been doing, or at least what we know we should be doing with my band Tora and our own record label, seeing it all laid out like this got me thinking. What if I built a template that handles and creates all of these tasks automatically? What if artists without managers, record labels, network, or even industry experience could use this to compete with the pros? What if all of the commissions that managers and labels charge just to tell an artist this exact information is funneled back into your project for content, for collaboration, for ads, remixes, you name it? Well, what I can say is that after spending years doing releases both independently and with major distributors, I've realized most artists are flying blind when it comes to launching their music. What I believe is that if we're going to honor the time and the creative energy we put into writing a song, at a minimum, we should spend equally as much time preparing the release and marketing the song. Just for some perspective, I know several profile artists who spend 80% plus of their time and resources on release preparation and marketing compared to the music creation itself. The truth is, most artists know that they should be doing more, but many don't know of what, and they don't know how. And it's usually at this stage that artists pursue managers and or labels to unlock these industry secrets, and in some cases just get a kick in the butt as they need someone to push them along. But the real secret is that there are no secrets. And most of what needs to be done for a successful release needs to be done by the artist, or at least with the artist's direct involvement. And these days, major labels aren't even signing artists until the artist has established a large following online or has had a viral moment. You know, why invest in a project that's not yet proven, right? So I've built this template specifically to solve these issues, incorporating everything that I've learned personally through my band Tora with over 250 million streams and through major labels as well, while keeping everything simple enough for any artist to have the best shot at success. In this tutorial, I'll show you exactly how to use this template to plan, automate, and nail your next release. So with that, let's dive in. Alright, so this is the releases template by Musician OS, and if you're familiar with any of the other Musician OS templates, you're going to feel right at home, because this is a very similar structure here. We have navigation panels on the left, along with dashboards and the core database views down here, and then we have the linked database views on the right. Now, to get started with this template, let's come in and create an artist here, because this is going to link with a few other things. So we'll just say I am the primary artist, or at least one of them. And as is required, you can come in and fill out this information. I'm not going to do too much of it now, just so we can move through this fairly quickly. And let's get started with creating an album. Now we're going to call this album Good Life. And we can come in here and we can link me as the primary artist. And let's also choose a release date. So I like to work at a minimum of 8 weeks out from my chosen release date. Now, as this is an album, I'm going to be dropping singles as well, and they are typically going to be 4 weeks apart. So this album actually might only be dropping sometime way later in the year, let's say September 30th, right? And we can add in a cover artwork as well. How's about we drop that in there too? Now, just below here, you're going to see a lot of information populates specific to this release. So if you have a quick look here, you can see it's possible to tag audio files. You can use Dropbox, Google Drive, whatever you want. And if we do just change this view, let's go into Centerpeak just to make it a little bit easier. You see how these have a light red box around them, and that's because these are actually linked blocks. And what we're going to do in a second is we're going to go to this media kit, and we're actually going to add some information. And the cool thing about Notion and how everything links is that if we're actually adding stuff to the media kit or to any linked blocks, they're going to be changing everywhere. And this is going to be the same for the artist bio, the artist EPK, the press release, and all of that stuff. The other thing is specific to this album, we have a visual mood board, which I think is extremely important just for helping align all of the different creatives which are going to be getting involved with making this album a success. And I've just put some images in here just to kind of get you started. Obviously, you can delete these and swap these out with what is relevant. But what I like to do is work through keywords, key phrases, and then key people and creators just to create a very strong set of references that I'm going to be using as we're creating visuals. This becomes very handy when you're working with other creatives. So every different release type will have all of this information added. Obviously, you can add your release goals, and as the timeline becomes populated with more releases, you'll see all of that fill out in here too. Let's come back and let's create a few singles, because there's going to be obviously a couple singles in this album, right? And so we can just come here and we just write single 1, and we can add in a artwork here too. And the release date for this, well, let's say this is happening. Oh, we actually just need to wait for that. Sorry. We're going to try that again and be a bit more patient. Great. The release date, oh, now there's 2. Okay, we'll see what happens there. And so the release date, we will say, will be a month out from now, right? To give ourselves a bit of time. The marketing campaign we'll create soon enough. Single status, you see this is on standby. And again, we can link this to this artist here. Fantastic. Let's create one more single. And again, we'll use another artwork here. This time we'll just wait for that to do its thing. Great. And let's use a release date, not 1 month, but 2 months out. So we've got 4 weeks between each single, which is usually a pretty healthy buffer to have. And that just allows you to really juice everything you can out of the single release campaign. We're just going to add this as an artist. And again, look, you can see all the same stuff here. And the reason this is relevant is that each single is going to have its own cover artwork. It's going to have its own visual mood board potentially. It's going to have its own release goals. And so I've decided to just build it out this way. And the important thing is, as with all pages in Notion, you can actually come and you can share them, right? So if you come and you publish this and share a link with anyone in the team, so this is going to be media people, this could be managers, label, whatever. And that way everyone gets a high level view of what's happening with the single. They have easy access to all of the different assets. They can use this like a central repository of everything relevant for that single. And this is really going to help you streamline processes. You're updating visuals or audio assets. Everyone who you've shared this with has that access as well, which is super important just to reduce the load of messaging and email and all of that kind of stuff. So let's come back to albums here and let's try change the status now. And what you'll notice is we've got a lot of different status options. And what I was talking about before, all of the different tasks, like this 150 tasks that the major label release checklist had, these are all baked within these different statuses. So you simply just need to change the status there and automatically you'll see these tasks are now generated in your tasks database. It can take a little bit of time based on how fast your internet connection is, but you should see them pop in there without too much lag. Alright, so as we can see, we've got all of these tasks which have been automatically generated for us, which are under the status of preparation. So these are the preliminary things we need to do when we're getting ready to release our album. And we can use these different filtered views here to organize these tasks in a way that's most suitable for us, because things can get pretty crazy when we've got multiple releases running. So just to give a better example here, we're going to set one of these singles off as well and create these tasks too. Awesome. Now, if we come to release, or by release rather, you can see that our album Good Life has got all of these tasks assigned to it. And if you see our single, it has all of these tasks assigned to it. Now, there are going to be a few double ups, and the reason why is because if you're just releasing a single, I want to make sure that nothing gets missed. And typically, if you're releasing an album, you're still going to have to do a lot of the stuff for the singles that you would otherwise have to do if the single was standalone. But as you can see here, choose a release date for each single. Well, we've already done that. So we can just come here and we can say that that one is completed. Choose an album release date. Well, we've done that. Decide on a release strategy. We'll look at that in a sec. Register songs with PRO. Pressing vinyl, read this, so on and so forth. Now, something I want to touch on quickly here is you can see some of these tasks have got these little arrows, and what these arrows indicate is that in fact they are linking to another page. And what I did last year was I created a lot of different guides to help explain what some of these concepts are, because I know people new to releasing music, they might not exactly know what a waterfall release strategy is. And so just to help as much as I possibly could, if you click here, you're actually going to be taken to this guide on Notion that I've written, which gives you a very clear breakdown of what this is all about and kind of how to stagger your releases so that you can get the most out of them, steps to implement it, everything that you need to go. And this is usually the outcome on streaming services where you see these spikes and it's slowly building and consolidating, and by the time you release your album, big impact. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into different release strategies, but just to know that where relevant, I have tried to write these different guides to help illuminate some of these concepts as well, because they can be very important. And this is also what the record labels like to gatekeep, right? But for anyone that's been in the space, it's not rocket science. And again, here you can see with singles, we've got all of these different tasks. So this is just going to happen every time you are every time you are changing the status. There's going to be a new set of tasks which will be automatically created for you, and we'll have guides where relevant as well. And as you can see, some of them are actually linking to different pages within this template. So for example, lyric sheets, if you're to click on this, it's going to take you to the lyric sheet dashboard where you can see, hey, this is where I need to create the lyric sheets for my single or my album or whatever it is. So let's keep moving along here, and I'm just going to show you the media kit. And as I was talking about before, these different content blocks, which have got this very faint red outline, mean that they're synced. So if I was to change some of this information here, and let's just say we've added our social media links to these different blocks, if you were to come back to an album or a single, you can see that these links have now changed. And so this means that you're changing all of your links in one place, and they're affecting all of the different release pages. So again, if we come to fonts, you'll see that this is also within the Media Kit page. Here we are. And this is a place where you would link all of your brand fonts as well as your brand logos and everything like that. So this means that if you're sharing this with a creative or someone that's going to be working on your release, they have everything that they need. And this is just a way of streamlining processes and really making sure that you're doing the best you can to keep everything super locked in and very dialed. And the same goes for your artist bio in your EPK and your press release, which you can find just here in the dashboard views as well. Now, the other thing that we've got is campaigns. And this is sort of hinging on a budget, actually. So maybe we look at budgets first. Because before you're doing your release or when you're planning for your release, you want to know, well, how much is this thing going to cost? And how much am I willing to spend on all of the different parts of this release? So that can be figured out here. So if you come in, you'll see income and you'll see an expenses table. This is pretty straightforward, but to be completely honest, this is really all you need to do to get a high level overview of how much you're going to be putting down and how much you're intending to actually spend. And so for instance, in expenses here, you could also outline different digital ad costs for your different singles or for your album. Maybe you do it as a whole, whatever the case is. But once you figured this out, you would come back to campaigns and you start to make a few campaigns. We would say single one, this would be meta campaign. And so here you would just outline what your goal is. So increase followers, key message, whatever it is. You can adjust this to preparation. The timeline, so this is the duration that this campaign is going to be running. We're going to run it for like 2 months, right? And if you come down here into budget, we say, well, we assigned $1,000. So far we've used 0. And we can see there's different tasks and everything that will get linked to this. But for now, just to illustrate what's going to happen is you'll see here we've got a meta campaign which has been added. And if you duplicate this and we say this is also for single 2, we can start to map out exactly how much money we're spending and how much of the money has been spent as well as how long these campaigns are going to be running. And I feel like this is a very good way to stay on top of all of the different places where you're spending your money, because there's PR, there's ads on YouTube, there could be ads on Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case. And you want to make sure that you're not letting anything fall to the wayside, that you're really on top of what's happening. So as we've talked about before, dashboards are a place to get a more granular view of specific information. And if you come to the releases dashboard here, you're going to see a breakdown of your timeline. So here you can organize this, or filter it rather, by the artist, and you can also see the type. And this becomes extremely handy when you're plotting out your waterfall release strategy, if it is that you choose to do that, and also to just get a very clear look at how long your campaign's running and what's actually happening. And of course, within this, you can just click on any of these to get straight to the release itself. I work a lot within this timeline view, especially just to make sure that everything's going according to plan. And if you want to, you can also add in some other properties here to increase the information that is shown. Like for example, if you wanted to add lyric sheets or just different tasks as well. Great, so I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. You can come in here to create lyric sheets easily. You can come in here to create song credits easily. There's also different guides, which you'll see in here, which explain how to do that and where to do that stuff. I've also created Figma templates for a lot of this, which you're welcome to use. They're all completely free. I'll link them in the bio as well. And if you've got any questions, or if there's anything that you would like to see added to this template, most importantly, because this is dynamic, I'm constantly updating and improving these templates, please feel free to shoot me a message or drop a comment in the comments below, and I'll do my very best to get that sorted out promptly. And with that, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.